Instant noodles, the lifesaver for hungry stomachs in the middle of the night. Every year, it's estimated that more than 100 billion packs of instant noodles are consumed around the world. That's an average of nearly 13 packs for every person on the planet. At first glance, it's just a small block of dried noodles made from flour, water, and a bit of oil. Yet it can sit chilling on the shelf for months without going bad. And then, with just a few minutes and some boiling water, it magically turns into a hot, steamy, delicious bowl of noodles. In this video, I'm going to take you on a little tour of the journey of an instant noodle pack from the factory, where the flour is mixed, rolled into strands, steamed, fried, dried, and packaged. To understand why a small packet of noodles can be found in almost every supermarket today, we have to go back to Japan after World War II. At that time, the country was facing severe famine, crop failures, and people had to stand in long lines just to buy a single bowl of hot noodles from street stalls. In the middle of all this, Momofuku Ando, the man later known as the father of instant noodles, saw people huddling in the cold, patiently waiting for a bowl of ramen. He wondered, is there a way for people to eat hot noodles anytime they want without having to stand in such long lines? He started experimenting in a small storage shed, kneading dough, pulling it into strands, steaming the noodles. But he still couldn't create a type of noodle that both kept for a long time and cooked quickly. That is, until Ando came up with a simple trick: pre-cook the noodles and then deep fry them in hot oil. Thanks to the oil coating and the porous structure inside, the noodle block could be stored for months and would soften and heat back up just by pouring in boiling water. That was the moment instant noodles were truly born. A simple idea that solved the problem of hunger, speed, and low cost in the post-war era. In a modern instant noodle factory, the journey of a noodle block starts from the most basic ingredient, wheat flour. Trucks loaded with flour arrive and pump it straight into huge silos for storage. In the mixing area, it's not as simple as just dumping flour into a machine and pressing start. First, they have to decide whether the noodles should be firm or soft, extra chewy or just slightly chewy, and only then do they adjust the formula. The flour is fed into industrial mixers and combined with cold water, salt, and certain micronutrients such as vitamin B2, the thing that gives noodles their characteristic yellow color, rather than food coloring like many people think. Another very important step is adding kansui, a pre-mixed alkaline solution. This brine and kansui mixture helps change the structure of the proteins in the wheat flour, making the noodles elastic, chewy, and giving them their distinct flavor. From the outside, it just looks like flour spinning in a mixer. But inside, there's a whole engineering process going on to create noodles that meet the right standards: uniform, springy, and not crumbly. Once the dough has been mixed to the right standard, it's sent through a series of rolling rollers. Each time it passes through a pair of rollers, the dough gets thinner. From a chunk of dough thicker than your arm, it's pressed into sheets that are only just a bit thicker than a sheet of rice paper. Rolling the dough thin isn't just about getting the right noodle thickness. It's also like putting the dough through a workout. The more it's pressed and stretched, the better the gluten network develops inside, which later gives the noodles that familiar chewy, springy texture you feel every time you pick them up with your chopsticks. When the dough sheet reaches the desired thinness, it's sent to the cutting machine, where the sheet officially turns into noodles. Continuously rotating blades slice the sheet into countless strands, with their width and length calculated down to the millimeter depending on the noodle type. Thin ramen-style strands, flat noodles, or slightly thicker, wider ones. The curliness, straightness, or wavy pattern of the noodles is not random either. Just by adjusting the pressure between the rollers and using a special rubber belt, the noodles can be made more or less wavy as desired. That's why some instant noodles come super curly, while others are relatively straight. All of this is pre-programmed into the machines. Just by changing the blade configuration and a few settings, the same production line can give birth to many different noodle styles for different products. After being cut into strands, the noodle sheet continues moving along the conveyor belt to the hot water spraying section, a softening step before it's fully steamed. Nozzles gently coat the surface of the noodles with a thin layer of hot water, just enough to make them moist and more flexible, but not fully cooked. At this temperature, the starch inside starts to swell slightly and gelatinize, helping the noodles hold their shape better and reducing breakage in the following steps. From there, the noodle belt is sent straight into a sealed steamer. Hot steam at around 102 degrees Celsius continuously surrounds it, and over the course of a few minutes, slowly penetrates to the core of each strand, cooking them evenly from the outside in. This steaming stage is what sets the structure of the noodles, making them both cooked and pleasantly chewy, creating that satisfying bite we feel when we eat them later. At the end of the noodle forming line, the wavy noodle belt doesn't go straight into the fryer. First, it's divided into equal portions, called noodle blocks. These blocks are placed into fixed-shape molds, which help the noodles keep their curls and prevent them from coming loose during frying. These molds are attached to a conveyor that moves straight into a giant oil fryer. In just a few dozen seconds, the noodle blocks are fried at high temperature, causing most of the water inside to evaporate. The moisture drops to only about 2 to 5%. Thanks to this, bacteria can hardly grow, and the noodle blocks can be stored for up to nearly a year. After leaving the fryer, the noodle blocks pass through a system of vibration and air blowing to shake off excess surface oil, keeping the product dry, light, and not overly greasy. Then they go through a stream of cool air to bring the temperature down quickly and lock in the crispiness, before finally being transferred to the packaging area. The rest, the soul of the noodles, lies in those tiny seasoning packets that come with them. They're what really decide whether your bowl of instant noodles is delicious or not. To create the base sauce packet, the part that determines almost 70% of how good your bowl of noodles will taste, everything starts in huge stainless steel mixing tanks. Each ingredient is measured precisely: cooking oil, salt, sugar, chili powder, dried onion, various dried seasonings. Everything is poured in and continuously stirred, almost like cooking a pot of concentrated broth in an industrial version. So the salty, sweet, rich, and spicy flavors stay in balance. Once the mixture is well blended, a heating system gradually warms it up to lightly sterilize it and help all the seasonings fully dissolve. After that, the mixture is sent through a high-pressure mixing system so the oil and water don't separate, forming the smooth, glossy sauce you see when you tear open the packet. Next, the sauce is rapidly cooled and filtered to remove coarse particles before it goes into automatic filling machines, which can pack thousands of tiny sauce packets every minute, all ready to be placed next to the noodle block inside the package. Have you ever noticed that just by tearing open that tiny veggie packet, your bowl of noodles suddenly looks way more alive? Besides the noodle block and the sauce packet, that little pack of dried vegetables is what keeps the bowl from looking too plain and makes it feel more like a proper meal. In the factory, ingredients like scallions, carrots, sweet corn, chili, mushrooms, and more are pre-selected, washed, and then diced or thinly sliced so they cook quickly and can be evenly distributed in each packet. Depending on the product line, the veggies can be hot air-dried or freeze-dried. With freeze-drying, the vegetables are first frozen at very low temperatures, then placed in a vacuum environment so the water inside goes straight from ice to vapor without passing through the liquid phase. This method helps them keep their original shape, color, and much of their flavor, while also reducing the loss of vitamins and minerals. In the final stage, all the dried vegetables are mixed in fixed proportions, then portioned into small packets by an automatic packaging system. Each veggie packet may look simple, but it's the last puzzle piece that makes a pack of instant noodles feel like a more respectable bowl of noodles, not just a block of noodles and some soup. At the final stage of its journey through the factory, everything starts to come together like pieces of a puzzle. The dried, fried noodle block, the soup powder packet, the oil packet, and the veggie packet are picked up one by robotic arms, placed in the right position, and sealed together inside a single wrapper. Every pack is automatically weighed to ensure the correct amount, then passes through a metal detector before being printed with the production date, expiration date, and batch code, and finally packed into cardboard boxes. From there, the boxes of noodles are loaded onto trucks, sent to distribution centers, and then spread out everywhere: supermarkets, mom-and-pop shops, cafeterias, and even vending machines. From now on, every time you make yourself a bowl of instant noodles, I hope you'll remember that behind it is not just a few tiny packets in a cheap wrapper, but an entire story of ideas, engineering, and an incredibly sophisticated production line. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. This is Factory Secrets. See you in future episodes where we'll keep pulling back the curtain on the hidden secrets behind foods that seem completely ordinary.